Back in 2013, Battlefield 4 would release its third DLC, and one I had been initially skeptical of, Naval Strike. Oh god, it's gonna be naval combat? I'm gonna waste so much time swimming from island to island, this is gonna suck! But as it would turn out, Naval Strike became my favorite, as it introduced what would become my favorite game mode in any Battlefield game, Carrier Assault. For those unfamiliar, it's a conquest mode where you try and control various points on a map. The more points you hold, the more often you attack the enemy ship, and once one team takes enough damage, the other would invade their spawn to destroy 2 terminals to end the match. It was incredibly fun. Now, in 2026, Highguard has come out, and it is fairly unremarkable in nearly every aspect, despite being a modern iteration of the Carrier Assault format, intentionally or not. Ow. Yes, I'm aware that everyone on the internet has been clowning on it. They've been doing so since it was revealed at the end of the Game Awards last month. And surprisingly, I'm actually on time to this one, and I have some thoughts on the game. Not all bad, I actually think there's some good elements here and there, but overall, not good. Highguard needs a lot of work. Now, just a precursor. I have literally only played the tutorial and one full match. I realize that's not a lot of time to fully digest this game properly, but it's about all I could stomach for now, and just from that I have a lot of notes. So let's start off with the tutorial. I think we need to have a discussion about different tiers of tutorials, because in the year of our Lord 2026, we should not be forcing baby tier tutorials on people in order to play the game. I'm not saying people shouldn't be able to jump right into an unfamiliar game off the cuff, but rather we need different kinds of tutorials for different kinds of gamers. We've had 2 decades of mostly standardized FPS controls. I do not need to be taught how to jump. Flash me one screen with keyboard controls just to confirm and let me move on. Teach me the new shit. Teach me what sets your game apart from other FPS titles I've played in the past. We need that. And then you can have the option like this for people who have never played a game in their life, so that everyone is covered and you aren't wasting our time. But instead, I'm stuck playing the most milquetoast tutorial in existence for 15 tedious minutes, and there's not even a single firefight in the whole tutorial. You shoot dummies a few times and that's it. No NPC practice against some of the characters. You just walk up to the enemy base and destroy the objectives with literally no resistance. Awful, boring experience. And then, after all of that, you're offered a video on advanced techniques. No, piss off. Let's move on to the actual game then. Every match is split into phases, starting with a reinforcement phase, and then alternating between prep phases and raids. The raids are good. The prep phases, not so much. And the reinforcement phase feels borderline useless. Seriously, even if you want to reinforce walls, A, they barely buffer the walls to any marginable degree, and B, the enemy team is going to raid you from a wide open gate every time anyways, because that's how the raids are designed. So it's not like you're actually walling up their entrances. Reinforcement, absolute dog shit in its current state. Prep phases are where you go out and gear up for the raid phase, whichever side you're going to be on. There are a number of issues I have with this part. First, it's just boring as fuck. It's a 3v3 game mode on a Halo map that would be used for Big Team Slayer. And it's not like it's filled with anything. You just get on your mount, an actually useful feature, I will admit, and go and find crystals to mine, or a small outpost to loot while you wait for the shield breaker to spawn. If you're lucky, you'll somehow run into the enemy squad and have a little skirmish, but it's more likely that you'll just fight each other when the shield breaker appears. And that thing doesn't arrive for a few minutes, so until then, it's just riding and mining and occasionally looting. The mining is a massive break of flow for the game. It's like 1 minute you're playing an action-y competitive multiplayer game, and the next I'm sitting here doing a Fortnite wallbuster minigame, trying to time my presses of the F key so I can get a perfect crystal break. Like, it's so disjointed. There aren't even any camps to kill. Yes, this game has no NPC enemies to fight at all. It's just a big empty forge map with a few points of interest and next to nothing in between. It feels like it was meant for more players, maybe 4v4 or 5v5, but because there are only 8 fucking characters at launch, there would be too much overlap in team composition, which I think we need to discuss. Your new hero shooter only launching with 8 playable characters is a massive misstep. I have my suspicions about why, which I'll address at the end, but let's look at other hero-based games just for comparison. League of Legends started with 40, Overwatch 21, hell, a more recent example, Deadlock 20. While League doesn't allow team overlaps outside of blind pick, hence why the size was larger, Overwatch was and Deadlock is a 6v6 game. Even in the case that both teams have no overlap with each other in those, you would still have 8 or 9 characters that were untouched, just under half the roster. With Highguard, you have such a tiny pool that not only are teams more likely to overlap, but more likely you'll see the same comps over and over again, creating tedium in matchmaking. And I gotta just throw it out there while we're here. The designs are rough. These are very cookie cutter fantasy character designs. I'm sorry, they are unbelievably bland. Una is the only one I would call a genuinely good design. One last issue I have here, and this may be limited by my small amount of playtime, but I feel like taking the wrong character into a match is a death sentence. Now, I played Redmayne just because I felt like smashing through terrain instantly would be a very useful tool. Unfortunately, that was my only role on the team, and we only got to perform one attacking raid the entire match. So the only time that I was actually useful for the whole game was during a 3-minute raid where, yeah, I was able to break into the enemy base quite easily, but for the rest of the game, I felt like ass. Defending my own base, I don't want to break walls too much, lest I make it easier for the enemy, and anywhere else on the map, when we skirmished with the enemy squad, I was entirely reliant on my raw shooter skills, which are probably just slightly above average at best. Redmayne's passive for faster movement and reload speed only activates when you get a kill, so I'm still having to trust in my own hand here. Having to rely on just that versus characters who do have tools that do assist them in firefights. It felt like a mess to engage with most of the time. Now granted, I may have also just chosen the worst character for that, and I understand team roles and all that, but it does make it much harder to engage with the enemy team in this state. So eventually, after dicking around for a while and collecting armor and higher tier guns, the shield breaker spawns. It's basically a sword-shaped flag you need to run to the enemy base with and insert into an invasion point to start a raid. And I'm going to stay honest, these are the parts of the game that are actually fun. Repelling invaders from your base or trying to snake your own way in to set bombs and destroy 3 sites, it's good. The bases are about the size of a Call of Duty map, so it's much more reasonable for engagements. Raids end once the attackers die enough times, which probably takes about 3 minutes. The gunplay itself, I should add, it feels good, feels like Apex or Titanfall, but it's not as punchy as either of those. It's missing the proper feedback that makes getting a kill or landing hits feel good. There is also another really cool idea with the siege tower. If you are attacking and die, your respawn screen is behind the tower facing the base. You can then point and click anywhere within the range of that tower, and that is where you will zipline in when you respawn. I think that's a really cool idea versus just hitting respawn and winding up somewhere in the area. The point system, I don't know how I feel about it. If you start a raid, the enemy team loses points, but if you fail to destroy any points during the raid, you're also punished with losing points. Like, I understand it, sort of. It sets you both to even, but it just feels kind of silly. Let's see, what else is there to discuss? Mounts are fun and fast, but there is virtually no recoil while shooting and riding, so it doesn't feel real at all. The game feels like it's struggling. Like, there were numerous times where I was very slightly, but consistently fighting against it while playing. And the overall art style looks like bland ass. I already mentioned the characters earlier, but the whole game just has a greatly uninteresting appearance. Now, to discuss why I think it went wrong, I'm gonna say the Game Awards appearance did a lot of damage. According to reports, Highguard didn't pay for the position there, and some say they didn't even want it. Jeff Keighley just really wanted to show the game off. And I can't get angry at him for being excited, that's fine. But I get the impression that his excitement turned into disregard for the state of the game. And so being forced into the spotlight made the devs have to rush the release. This game needed a lot more focus testing before being released. And if I'm just completely wrong and this is the state the devs thought was fine, then oh boy. Even while I was working on this script, they announced that they're doing a limited time 5v5 game mode, which is like, yes, you're definitely going to have more engagement in the matches now, that's good, but the team overlap is going to be ridiculous, because again, only 8 characters. At the very least, the game is free to play and only 20 gigabytes, so people aren't losing $40 to it and can download it in like an hour or two, internet dependent. That's why it suffered the largest player drop in a single day in Steam history with 91%, because people were able to try it out, realize it wasn't for them, and then check out. Genuinely, I think there are some cool ideas here, and I love carrier assault type games, so I really hope they work on this. Maybe I'll try it again if they update a lot of these issues, but for now, Highguard really needs some work.